So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Very excited to have the session with you.
Okay. So, before we proceed, if you could briefly introduce yourself for the audience, it would be really nice.
Sure, ma'am. My name is Pooja Rathore. I'm from Delhi. Currently, I'm working at Ocean English Academy as a spoken English trainer, and I'm also a homemaker. Apart from that, I have a YouTube channel by the name It's Easy where I post conversation videos.
Hmm.
So that's about me in brief.
Hmm. Okay, so that's amazing. So, you're an English trainer, which means you must be good at English. So let's discuss a little bit about that. How did you get into this field? Did you always know you wanted to become an English trainer, or it just happened? Like, what was your journey like? And did you study in English medium school? Did you study in vernacular medium? I would love to get to know these things.
So I have always been an English medium student,
Hmm.
and later, when I worked upon this language during COVID period, I became more confident and more fluent. But my
Hmm.
basics was strong. I could understand English well, and I could speak a little bit. But I worked on it later to improve my fluency, as I
Hmm.
said, during the COVID period. But talking about whether it happened by choice or by chance, and actually, I'm a teacher not by choice, but by chance, because when something else which I planned didn't work out, so I took it as a plan B. And I found that it is my passion, it is my true calling, and I also enjoy teaching students. I always got positive feedbacks from them that, "Ma'am, you teach well and you explain things well." So I decided to pursue this as a profession. And
Hmm.
till date, I really enjoy. But these days, I'm figuring out that I also love talking to people, having conversation with them. So I think I may pursue this also as a career.
Hmm.
Yes.
That's amazing. I also studied in English medium school, so I kind of understand that English medium students have a slight upper hand when it comes to English fluency. However, I also understand that we have to put in the extra effort to become fluent because I can assure you, for my case, I had to put in the effort because what happens is that in school, nobody actually talks to each other in English. So I didn't even know if I was good at it or not. It was later on in college that I got to know when I was talking to students from other states because they were comfortable with English. So I would talk to them in English. That's when I got to know that I can speak English. Literally, that's the point. Like, after I graduated from school, I got to know that I can speak English. So that was the scenario with me. What was the case with you? Did you put in some extra effort, or maybe your school was really good, or maybe that's the reason why you were just naturally good at it?
Um, My school was like other CBSE schools. Teacher
Hmm.
used to use both Hindi and English to explain
Yeah.
the chapters, but there was no environment at school to practice because all the students used to speak in the native language, you know.
Hmm.
So yes, there was no environment at school, even at home to practice. So I
Hmm.
had to put in extra effort. That I did with the help of YouTube. I used to practice listening. I used to watch conversations a lot. So
Hmm.
I think I did self-talk a lot. And
Hmm.
that actually worked for me also. So these two things were my practice methods, listening and speaking. I didn't
Hmm.
have any environment at home. I didn't spend any money in joining any coaching institute,
Hmm.
so-called coaching institutes. But I did join some WhatsApp communities where I used to have conversations with the co-learners, participated in group discussion also to boost my confidence. So,
Hmm.
I wasn't that lucky enough to get acquainted with this language in English, like in school only. But it came up through a lot of practice, like hours and hours of practice every single day. And yes, it took me around a year to actually, become fluent in English. And I
Hmm.
still do try to be consistent, although it is very difficult and challenging to stay consistent because
Hmm.
whatever level we reach, we always feel there's a room for improvement. I want to boost my vocabulary. I want to learn some expression to, enhance our communication skills. So I still try to work upon it whenever it's possible. I practice listening and I practice having conversation with some fluent speakers just like you.
Hmm.
So. I think that you have to always, be consistent in this journey, no matter which level you reach.
I 100% agree with you because I was talking to an English trainer before this, and she told me like she was obviously really good, just like you. But then she told me that she lost touch with English language because of switching the fields. And she said that she didn't speak English for a long time because it wasn't useful at that point. And when she got back into the field, she was surprised about how much she was stuttering when she was speaking.
Mhm.
So this definitely happens. I can assure for my case as well. When I was not talking to my fellow classmates, when I was just at home during COVID, I remember because as soon as I entered college, COVID hit after some time. So we were just at home, and then English wasn't coming in handy because, like, I was just at home. We don't have English speaking environment at home. I'm not talking to my friends in English language. So that's the reason why when I got back to college, I was stuttering a little bit. I was a little bit underconfident despite being good in this language. So that's when
Mhm.
I got to know that consistency is actually important. And self talk, you mentioned 100%. I agree with you because I remember during my teenage years, I switched all my entertainment sources to English, like listening to English music, watching Hollywood movies, reading English novels. So these things shaped my English, which it is today. And it was definitely the effort I put in, and that was because of the passion. I had passion to learn English language because it's super cool that we know another language apart from our mother tongue. So that's the reason
Definitely.
why. Yeah, for sure. And so the self talk thing that you mentioned, I also worked on that because, like I mentioned, I didn't have an offline environment to be speaking English
Mhm.
at home. So what I would do is I would listen just like you. I was like listening to music and other things like podcasts, and I was also talking to myself in English language. So I would interview
Yes.
myself in English and I would answer back in English language. And I was doing this not to improve, but because it was super fun to be talking in English
Yes.
language. Yeah. So that's what I
We
was
can't
doing.
judge ourselves, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
That's right.
So you can be your best partner to practice English. When people text
That's
me,
right.
we don't have anybody to talk to, or we don't have the English environment. I created a virtual English environment around me. I didn't have that environment. So that's how
I
I
totally agree with
improved.
that.
Yeah. So that's why I always
Same,
emphasize
same
on the
method.
fact. Yeah, exactly. So if you don't actually, I mean, if you get somebody to talk to, that's amazing. However, talking to yourself, like you said, we don't judge ourselves. So we can make endless number of mistakes. And that's how we become fluent actually, because we are not going to judge ourselves. We are super comfortable and you speak your best when you're in a comfortable position, because when you're talking to somebody else you might get the jitters. What if I get stuck somewhere? What if I make some mistakes? What if the person in front of me starts judging me? So I always tell people, just you can talk to yourself, although people don't really understand this point. Like, what do you mean
Mhm.
we can talk to ourselves? And so how did you do that? How did you work when it comes to the self talk?
I think we all have a habit of talking to ourselves, although we do that in our mother tongue. So you just have to replace those thoughts with English. I don't think that's a tough task to do. I don't know why people find it boring and they say we can't do it for like more than 10 or 15 minutes. But it's something that, is quite convenient as when you don't have an environment to practice at home or with co-learners, you can just do that. Okay. Of course, you should try to grab the opportunity when you get the opportunity to learn, to practice with co-learners. That is also very effective. But
Hmm.
when you are all alone, so why not use this method?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it worked for me. I used to just, whatever is going on, whatever thing I want to describe around me in English, what
Hmm.
happened during the day, I would do that all in English. Sometimes I would also record myself to, analyze how I'm speaking and to
Hmm.
give myself my own feedback. So, and to check whether my pronunciation is clear or not. So I did
Hmm.
recording my voice and checking it a lot. So I
Hmm.
think until I was reaching intermediate level, this technique was helpful. Later, I thought maybe I should level up and find some people who are fluent and experts in this language.
Hmm.
because it is important to get the exposure also, because since only those people who are more like advanced and fluent than you, they can only correct you, right?
Hmm.
So till the level that you're intermediate, you can follow this method. Later on, you can find some other platform and connect to some WhatsApp group where you can find the advanced learners.
Hmm.
But when you don't have any budget, you can just go for it. It's totally free of
Yeah,
cost.
for sure.
Yeah. So
So, sorry to interrupt you. You were saying something.
yeah, I think I'm listening and speaking really worked for me a lot. Some people enjoy reading also, but I tried a lot, but it didn't work for me. I couldn't
Hmm.
read more than 15 minutes a day. Um, so I still try to, experiment a lot with my English learning journey. These days,
Hmm.
I'm also trying to read some short stories. I use AI tools a lot, like ChatGPT, whenever I feel
Hmm.
like I need to practice. I need somebody's feedback. So I just look for some topics. I record my voice and I ask the ChatGPT to review my speech. That's how I
Hmm.
find the polished speech. So I keep on
Yeah.
experimenting. I never stick to one particular method. That
Hmm.
makes the journey more interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
that's
do.
how it should be. That's how it should be actually. Because people ask me, like, how do I learn English? Well, there are so many methods. And that's the reason why, whenever I have a guest speaker on my channel, I always ask their journey because everybody has their own unique journey. So the audience get to decide what they want to do, whatever interests them. Because, for example, for you, reading didn't work out. That's okay. You didn't have the interest in that, so you tried other things and you were good at it. You learned through that. The thing is that do not force English upon yourself. Do not make it feel like burden. Do not make it feel like homework. That's when you will stop
Mhm.
being consistent, because obviously it's human nature. When we are not enjoying something, it's very difficult to stay consistent with it. However, if we make the journey enjoyable by experimenting various things, it automatically becomes really interesting to work upon. So yeah, I agree with you on that point. And I was coming to another point, but I forgot. Yeah, so the chat GPT thing you mentioned, when we record ourselves and when we listen to it, so as we start reaching the intermediate level, from basic to intermediate, we get to know that we are making mistakes. However, we might not understand where exactly we are making mistakes. For example, like, I listen to a sentence and I'm like, this sounds a little bit off, like it shouldn't be this way. However, I don't know what the correct version would be. That's when chat GPT
Mhm.
comes in handy. So you can record yourself on chat GPT and it can give you a feedback, like, these are the places where you need to correct yourself. And it gives you really nice long feedback, so you can properly understand
Yeah,
the places where you're lacking. And also another thing with ChatGPT is that it doesn't judge you. So it's just like talking to yourself. Basically, you're
it's super
recording yourself.
friendly.
Yeah, you're recording yourself and you're getting a feedback, a professional feedback. So that's amazing. So do
Yeah.
you
I don't know why
hmm,
people don't explore these methods. There are plenty of
yeah.
methods available if you really try.
Yeah,
Something will work out for
actually,
sure.
people don't know the exact journey, like what to do. So people are stuck in that old traditional method of learning grammar, buying huge
Mm-hmm.
grammar books, and then
Mm-hmm.
basically learning all the grammar rules, and then just learning them for like years and years, and then still they're not able to construct proper sentences even after learning grammar. That's because they are never getting to the listening or speaking part, which is the most essential. Because I believe that if you want to learn a language, learn it in a natural way, like an infant learns it.
Yes,
I mean, you're not going to, if there's a 6 month old baby, you're not going to give him a huge grammar book like, hey, this is how you learn the language, this is how we all learn. No, because that child literally listens to how people are interacting with each other in the environment. And then the child kind of
exactly.
forms the structure, like, okay, this is how subject is placed, this is how object is placed, this is how I form a sentence. And then they start
Yes.
speaking, and they speak in small broken sentences. They're not going to be super fluent as soon as they start speaking. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the method that I suggest to everybody, that learn it in a
Mm.
way that interests you, and you wouldn't even realize
Just
that. Yeah.
immerse yourself in that language and you will
Hmm.
acquire it naturally. So
Exactly.
acquisition is the better method than learning, yes. I
Exactly.
never focused on grammar, ma'am. I never did. I found it
Hmm.
so boring. Later, when I realized I have to become a teacher, then I started strengthening my grammar concepts. Earlier, it was so boring and I didn't even know tenses. But I still
Hmm.
spoke correctly because I practiced listening so much. So I knew what sentences would be correct and, which word I should use here, where to use has, have, do, does it. Everything was clear to me. But I never
Hmm.
learned grammar in that conventional way. So
Hmm.
people can try doing that because I'm a trainer. I have seen students who focus too much on grammar and still they are not improving. They are so stuck.
Hmm.
They can't even speak like daily conversational sentences. That's because, they are just misguided.
Hmm.
And I keep telling them, please, please, please don't make this mistake. Don't
Hmm.
focus on grammar.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. Unnecessary grammar, like focus is like total waste of time. Despite that, you should just practice daily conversation. You know,
Hmm.
speak, speak, speak. This is the mantra, and
Exactly.
you yourself will improve.
Hmm.
Yes.
And for listening, I don't think you have to take out some time to do that. If you have a busy schedule, it's completely okay. What you can do is, for example, you're doing laundry. Just put on your headphones, put on your earphones, and start listening to some English podcast or English songs. Or there are a lot of YouTube channels available where they are, I think they're animated. I don't know the exact names, but they speak really slowly and in basic sentences. So basically, you
Yes.
are doing your house chores, but you're listening, and you might feel like you're not paying attention, but subconsciously, you are learning the structure of the sentence. And once you start speaking, you will realize that those skills are now coming in handy. When they listened, they just kind of knew how to form the sentences, and now they're able to speak because of that. So you don't have to take out some separate time, like you have to give proper 2 to 3 hours every day. No, you don't have to. And it's not even possible to give 2 to 3 hours every,
Yes. Not possible.
yeah, because it becomes frustrating. So you don't have to do it separately. And another thing you mentioned before this was thinking in English. Yeah, some
Hmm.
people have problem doing that. I still remember when I was in, I think I was in ninth grade. That's when I started thinking in English, and I haven't thought in my native language since then. I've been, I just made it a habit to just think in English. From because you're
Hmm.
right, we talk to ourselves. We self talk. Like for example, okay, I have to get up. I have to make my bed. I have to arrange my books in the bookshelf. It can be anything. So those things
Hmm.
I replaced thinking in English language, and so I always think in English now because I built that habit. And that also helped me so much because there is no way that when you are thinking in a certain language, you are listening to a certain language all the time, you start speaking in a certain language, there is no way that you wouldn't learn it. So,
Sure, sure. You just have to fill your brain with some words like vocab, expression, phrases, so that eventually you will speak. What people don't know is that their brain is empty. That's why the words are not coming out.
hmm,
How can you speak with an empty mind? So first of all, fill your brain with this, and that will come through listening, as I told you, and self-talk. Following
hmm,
these two methods for a few months, I think will uh, make you so effortless. It will make speaking very effortless. So
hmm,
people are really forcing themselves too much, speak, 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 but they are not listening at all. Even if they are listening, they are just passively listening. So there's no point. I
hmm,
ask them, do you listen? They say yes. But I ask them, do you actively listen? They say, no, ma'am, I do something simultaneously. So
hmm,
if you're a beginner, you have to at least like dedicate 10 to 15 minutes for active listening. Later on, yes, when you're comfortable, yes, you can do it side by side simultaneously with some other tasks. But when you're a beginner, you have to do active listening. Not much, but 10, 15 minutes are also enough. But this will really help you to, pick up some phrases and vocab and
hmm,
expressions so that at least when you have to speak, you don't have to force yourself too much. I don't want my students to be so frustrated when it comes to speaking. That's why I keep suggesting them this kind of methods. So
hmm,
I know like people are really struggling a lot with this language. Being a trainer, I have seen their struggle. And I always try them. I always try to help them. Be patient. Stay consistent. But it's very very challenging if they are not on the right path.
hmm. So, what are the most common struggles that students have? Because you have come across so many students. So, what are the most common dilemma that students face usually, and how do you help them overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge is that people do not have the environment to
Hmm.
practice with. So they are all alone and they haven't figured out yet like what methods can work. Like I knew self-talk is something because
Hmm.
I was so passionate about this language. So I created my own path. But others do not,
Hmm.
have this kind of experience. So they are trying hard to get the atmosphere, but they don't have such kind of atmosphere. So
Hmm.
I tell them, okay, you can join some WhatsApp group. Like these days, for women, there are WhatsApp groups which they can join,
Hmm.
and how they can practice listening so that they can improve their pronunciation. Many people have MTI, mother tongue
Hmm.
influence, which just hampers their fluency a lot. But they just ignore it. They think that pronunciation is not that important, which is totally
Hmm.
wrong. So,
Hmm.
of course, I tell them that instead of focusing too much on grammar, focus on improving your pronunciation and start with simple sentence. They focus on, making very long sentence unnecessarily. So I tell them
Hmm.
start with simple and short sentences that will come through listening a lot. As you said, na, there are animated videos. I watch them a lot. So I always
Hmm.
prefer to speak in simple and clear sentences. For that, I used to watch those kind of animated videos. So I share those kind of videos with them. I tell them how they can practice pronunciation. As I also give them tongue twisters in case they're having trouble with sir and sure sounds. I make them practice tongue
Hmm.
twisters and yes, suggest some resources that can be helpful for them.
Hmm.
But I think these two areas people are really struggling with. One is pronunciation, and other is not being able to think in English.
Hmm. Okay. So, are there any tongue twisters that you could suggest for the audience? Maybe one or two tongue twisters that they could practice if there are any.
For saw and show sound, they can practice she sells seashells at the seashore.
Hmm.
This one is quite popular.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you practice it regularly for around a week, I think you'll be clear with saw and show sound pronunciation.
Hmm.
Some people get confused with jaw sound.
Hmm. No, no, please go
So
ahead.
and yeah, there are a lot of tongue twisters actually. You can find it on ChatGPT. I use that
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
share with my students. I tell them they don't realize that they are saying the wrong sound. They think they're
Hmm.
speaking correctly, and when I interrupt, like, no, 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 you are going wrong.
Hmm.
Still, they don't realize it. So it's like deliberate practice is required. A lot of efforts are required, and I think if they do it for around a week, it will be clear to them.
Hmm.
But first of all, they
Yeah.
should be willing to do it. They should not ignore the pronunciation part, which is like really important.
Hmm.
Yes.
For pronunciation, I can say rigorous practice is required because mother tongue influence is a real thing. Um, I mean, let's take a simple example. Some people get confused between get and gate. So there's GET, get, and there is GATE, gate. Completely different things. However, some people say that, like, I get this. They say, I get this. Yeah, okay, I get this. It kind of confuses the listener about what you're trying to say. Now, because you have experience, you would understand what they're trying to say. However, for somebody else, it might not be that easy to understand. I mean, this sentence just makes sense. However, sometimes you are not able to properly convey the meaning just because the pronunciation is not right. So that is something that people need to work upon for sure. Um, and simultaneously, actually, not like I'll become fluent in this language and then I'll work on pronunciation, because by that point it has become your habit, and then it is very difficult to get rid of the mother tongue influence, because now you've become so comfortable speaking that now if somebody corrects you, it's going to take a long time for you to be able to fix that. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's highly recommended that people work on both the things simultaneously. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay,
Especially
so
beginners face this challenge.
hmm. So for
Yes.
okay, so we talked about basic to intermediate. So do you have any tips for somebody who's at an intermediate level and they want to become an advanced speaker? What methods should they opt for?
Yes, the journey from intermediate to advanced is quite challenging and
Yeah.
frustrating also because I
Hmm.
have experienced that too. So I still haven't figured out whether I have reached advanced. I feel I'm somewhere in the middle, but I'm trying my best. So I would say what works the best is exposure.
Hmm.
So you need to surround yourself with people. I mean, that is not practically possible, but at least you can try. You need
Hmm.
to connect with those who are really very fluent and advanced level speakers. What
Hmm.
happens is that when you speak to them, uh, the feedback they provide is quite useful to you. Okay, if they are trainers, they must provide the feedback, or you can pick up some expressions from their speaking, some idiom, some vocab, because they are at a level above the enemy. That really works the best. Otherwise, you can immerse yourself in English language resources such as watching movies, podcasts, web series.
Hmm.
I mean, listening and stuff, or
Yeah.
reading, whatever works for you. Different
Hmm.
people have different techniques that works for them. But I
Hmm.
think exposure with advanced speakers is really very important to reach the
Hmm.
advanced stage.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. And it's a good thing you mentioned that there are separate kind of groups available. For example, there are beginner friendly groups, there are intermediate friendly groups, and there are also advanced speaker groups available. So you can join according to whatever your level is, whatever level you want to reach. So yeah, that's a good thing. And also another thing that you mentioned, listening to the advanced speakers, picking up the phrases that they use or the vocabulary that they use, that's also very essential. Because, for example, if somebody wants to reach a Shashi Tharoor level, he's awesome, he's amazing. And yeah, even I want to reach that level. So, for that, what we have to do is we have to keep listening. For example, like whatever you can play a video of him, and then you can write down the idioms or phrases that you hear at that
Mm.
time. And then you can write the vocabulary words that you get to know. You wouldn't understand most of the vocabulary words that he uses. They are very, very advanced level. So
Great.
yeah, for sure. And then so you can basically simply Google them, write down the meaning. You can write down in your phone, or you can use a traditional method, uh, have a proper diary for that. And you
Yes,
don't have
yes,
to
definitely.
basically start learning every single idiom, every single phrase, every single vocabulary. You don't have to burden yourself with that. However, just maybe learning one simple phrase or one simple vocabulary. And what after that, what happens is people forget the meaning after a few days. So the good procedure is that you pick up that phrase or pick up that vocabulary, and you make it your goal that for the next 7 days, I'm going to form sentences and I'm only going to be using this vocabulary. And so what happens is subconsciously you're training your brain that, okay, well, this is how you use this phrase. This is a situation where it comes in handy, or this is the vocabulary word that I have to use in these particular sentences. That's when it becomes your habit, and then you can move on to the next one and then the next one. It doesn't hinder your everyday daily English conversation journey. It's something that
Yes,
you can
yes.
slowly upgrade with.
Yeah, you should take one step at a time instead of learning 10
Hmm.
vocab in a single day. Just go with one vocab for 1 week. Because it
Hmm.
takes time to, include new words to your existing vocabulary list.
Yeah.
And I never like to pressurize myself too much.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'll just break the consistency. However, I like learning those kind of words which sound fancy and which are actually very useful in your communication. If
Hmm.
I find that something is too like technical to understand and I might forget this later, then I lose interest in learning that word.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do you have an interest in speaking like celebrities like English? Do you watch interviews of the celebrities to learn new advanced phrases or vocab?
Yeah, like the Bollywood celebrities.
Not particularly Bollywood, any kind of celebrity who speak good English.
For that, I mean, yes, I do listen to a lot of native speakers. There are like a lot of singers and actors from the US that I listen to. For
Mm.
example, there is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is highly recommended. That's because the way she speaks, it's very simple and it's very simple to understand as well. Because as a beginner, people might not be able to understand the accent But her accent, despite being from the US, despite having an American accent, she speaks in a very calm, slow way, like a way that you would be able to comprehend what she's saying. So she is highly
Yes, yes.
recommended. And also, I mean, it's kind of funny, but her song, if you listen to her songs, she uses some sort of vocabulary that you'll have to like sit with a dictionary. Some people joke about it, like if you're listening to her songs, you have to sit with a dictionary because some of the vocabulary words are quite advanced. So I
Hmm.
highly recommend if somebody could listen to her podcast. However, now personally, I feel like I've been listening to her from the age of 13. I've been a fan of her music, but now I feel like to reach an advanced level, I need to switch from American content to UK content. If that makes sense
Okay.
to you,
Is
because
that even
personally,
more advanced?
yeah, because yeah, it
Okay.
is. They use really fancy words, like you said. Uh, Even the
Okay.
fancy word that we're using, fancy, that is also from the UK and not used in the US. So,
I
yeah,
think US later became a country. UK was already an English speaking country, you know. They picked up US picked up the language later.
yeah,
And
no, if we
also
talk about,
I
yeah, if we
s-
talk about the history, it's the people of
yeah.
UK that emigrated to the US because they're not the
Yes,
actual
yes, that's
Americans.
what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. America was colonized later. I mean, it
Yeah,
became a country later. Also, I would like to appreciate your singing skills. I have watched one of your video where you were
okay.
singing some beautiful song. I really like that, and you have such a beautiful voice. So that makes sense why you like Taylor Swift.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Yeah, it's just been my passion from the age of 13. I also try to mimic American accent sometimes because I've just been really fascinated with it from like a long time. That's the thing. So, yeah, I do a little bit of things here and there. But I mean, yeah, so now for advanced level, I personally do feel that switching to UK speakers is much, much better. Their
Mhm.
command is much better than American speakers. I know this doesn't make sense because both of them are native speakers, but this is something that
Yeah.
I've felt personally because now I've been listening to American content for a long time, and I feel like now
Mhm.
there is no need for improvement in this field. I need to switch to
Mhm.
the UK content to become an advanced speaker like Shashi Tharoor. This is what I
Wow.
personally feel like. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just my personal opinion.
You've set the goal really high. That's nice.
Well,
But I like the fact that you speak with a neutral accent, like not very
mm,
pronounced American or UK accent, which might be quite difficult to understand. So, although I also have the same opinion that I would like to advance my English by like improving and adding more expression, but I would never like to change my accent because it is the normal accent, it is the neutral accent which my students
mm,
understand. So,
yeah,
even if I learned it, I would still speak with a neutral Indian accent.
mm,
I really like the Indian accent. I don't know why.
mm.
I like it.
No, that's a good point that you mentioned. There is a lot of debate around this. If somebody tries to speak in American accent, somebody tries to mimic the British accent. But I think it all comes down to your comfort level, whatever makes you feel confident. And you don't have to change your accent for somebody else. If you like talking in
Yes.
American accent, go ahead. If you like talking in Indian accent, go ahead. But the only thing that matters is that you are conveying your message properly to the listener. It shouldn't be
Absolutely.
like I'm not really able to understand what you're saying. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. That's
Apart from that,
pointless.
it's
If others
yeah.
can't. The main objective of a language is to express yourself. So you should do
Hmm.
that clearly, whatever
Yeah.
accent you use.
Exactly,
Okay.
100%. Yeah, that's the only thing that matters because we are not native English speakers. So I feel like even if we pick up an accent from a native country, it's completely okay. It's completely chill because we don't have to have an typical Indian accent because we don't owe it to anybody. If I like it, I might switch to it. If, like it can be anything. If it's not your mother tongue, I think it's perfectly chill. However, yes, it
Yeah.
should be making sense to people what you're saying. That's the only
Yeah.
thing that matters. And the pronunciation thing that we talked about, I just want people to not get confused between the pronunciation and accent. Both are completely different things.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Different
for
things. Yes.
pronunciation, it's just that you are able to convey. the word that you are speaking properly to the listener so that they don't get
Yes.
confused. Like you mentioned, sure and sir. Yes, it happens a lot,
Oh my
especially
God.
here in Rajasthan.
Sometimes even
I've
I make mistakes by listening to wrong English, like
hmm,
wrong pronunciation. I sometimes make a lot of pronunciation mistakes, you know. So when you listen to a lot of wrong kind of content, it happens. So of
hmm,
course, pronunciation needs improvement if somebody doesn't have a good pronunciation, because otherwise
hmm,
it's difficult to comprehend what they're saying. But accent
hmm,
learning or not learning is completely their choice. They want, they can.
hmm. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You're talking about something in Rajasthan.
Yeah, so I was saying that people, I've noticed that when it comes to Rajasthan, people get confused between sure and sir a lot when they are switching to English. So it's probably because of the Marwari language. But for example, I've seen a lot of people here say like she was from Rajasthan. Instead of that, they say she was from Rajasthan, like sure and sir, just like you mentioned. And when you correct them, it takes them a lot of time to get the and the basic understanding that they are speaking something different, because in their mind they are saying she but they are speaking she. So I think this is a heavy mother tongue influence.
Totally.
Hmm. Yeah, so if you
She and
have,
she.
yeah, if you have any point that you want to add or anything you want to ask, you can do that and then we can wrap up the session.
Nothing. I'm just so happy to connect with you. I've been watching a lot of your videos for so many days,
Hmm.
and I really thought about connecting with you. It was difficult for me to find your email ID where I could connect because the
Okay,
last one didn't work out. Yeah, but later, I
really,
don't know,
is that
but
so?
yeah, but when I found your new email ID, then I sent you a request, and I was not expecting a quick response. But I'm so happy
Hmm.
that you replied so soon. Very
Oh no,
happy
no, of
to connect with
course.
you, and I would surely like to connect again for my channel.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
so if you're interested, please let me know. We'll surely connect again. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, ma'am, for inviting
100%.
me to your channel.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
really
so much
very
for being
happy.
here. I enjoyed a lot as well. The feelings are mutual. And yeah, I would love to connect with you again soon sometime. Have a great day
Thank you
ahead.
so much. It was. Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.